Love that you said that. It was our job before it was a sport.
If they just were more relevant, if they were just more mainstream, a more mainstream sport.
Like we're taking the top bar and raising it.
Our women are tough and they are contributors and they're meaningful contributors.
All ships rise with the tide. We'll support it. Can we name that horse officially the Shohei Ohtani of horses?
Welcome to kind of a modified version of WeaverRiggs. Kennedy, we're kind of all over the place. I'm in Eufaula, Alabama, which I'm sure everyone's been here before, but this is my turn. Traveling, a little different setup. You're in Utah, right?
Yep, soon to be Texas and Tampa.
We are brought to you, as always, by the 1017 Project. This is your official call to action. We believe everybody in the Western industry can be a part of putting protein into the hands and on the plates of the people who need it the most. It is the number one way to fight autoimmune disease, the development of children, the things that we're seeing that are health crises in our children that we're trying to cure. We believe that a high quality amount of protein into the hands of the people who need it is the prevention. You can go to the 1017project.com. You can text the word Hondo to 53555. Just check it out. Every pound of hamburger equates to 4 meals. And it's also the thing that activates the rest of these food banks, veterans, after school programs, women's shelters, and they are needing it. There is a national invisible crisis for protein right now, and the 1017 is solving that, which is actually the same thing that the Cowboys in the Western industry have done since its beginning. It was our job before it was a sport. So you guys check it out. We're going to get started.
Love that you said that. It was our job before it was a sport. Hey, let's talk about our first segment. This is going to be our pop culture crossover with the Western industry.
Now, I know this is probably going to be a surprise, but I'm actually the one that brought this next clip.
I was just going to say that.
I love that TMZ grabbed a clip of Bunny, who is Jelly Roll, and I don't really follow their story, to be fair. I kind of know who they are. I think I would admit it if I did. I actually don't. But they showed a clip of them at a rodeo, and the audio was so interesting. I love this as such an example. Even when you just get a clip from like the mainstream outside of the rodeo world, Hollywood, the thing that we're seeing sort of started to diminish as the Western industry is on the rise. But TMZ posts a clip of at a rodeo, and I love the audio because even in just a short clip, you get an audio of what our culture is about. I think we got it right here. We're going to pull it up. You can hear, even when you only get a 30-second clip, I'm going to be quiet so you can hear it.
Thing but freed, but it's been paid for, and that check was written in the blood of America's patriots, and the sons and the daughters that we love so much. For that, we have an everlasting.
I just like that you can't get away from it. It is so ingrained into our industry, into our culture. It's such a big part of our values. I love that. It also, Kennedy, I felt like I just needed to handle that story from the Bunny thing. I didn't think that was something that you're going to probably have a lot to say about.
Well, I love that. And I think the main thing that stands out to me, I love that was the part of the rodeo that got clipped is, of course, when he's talking about our values, patriotism. But I just love in general that rodeo made it onto TMZ because I think that just goes to show it's a small example, but it does go to show that, you know, like not just celebrities are going to rodeos, but TMZ's wanting to cover it. And so... Anyway, I just think it's cool. Everybody wants to be a cowboy, and it's never been a better time to be in the industry. That was really neat. On a different note, though, completely different note, okay? This is a little political, controversial, serious, all of the above. So a lot has been happening in the WNBA this week, and for anyone that's not aware, Sophie Cunningham, who also, this is a lot of crossover here, there are quite a few connection points. Sophie's a big rodeo fan, okay? Came to the Kime Ranch. Holy mackerel. Can we speak English this week? She came last year to the Kimes Ranch $1 Million Breakaway, roped with Jackie Crawford for a little bit. All that being said, just recently, she had a flagrant foul, okay? And it was a flagrant 2. Someone inflicted upon her. And a lot of people, you know, I guess they're just insinuating that it's because Sophie recently shared her very conservative right-winged views on, and I think that these views are just universal in my opinion, that men should not compete in women's sports because there are 2 men that have declared for the WNBA draft. So anyway, all of this to say, I think it's an interesting point to bring up because in sports and in rodeo, sometimes things will bleed into the both. I am wondering and wanting to pose the question, is this something that you think will ever bleed into the rodeo world, this issue of men competing in women's sports or gender crossover and controversy when it comes to the both?
I think it would be really hard for anybody who's ever participated in a branding to be confused about this topic. You remember, it wasn't that long ago where the WNBA told us their biggest problem was just exposure. If they just were more relevant, if they were just more mainstream, a more mainstream sport. And I'm wondering how much they wish that was still their problem, because the exposure in this has been just a nightmare. And I think that's one of my favorite things about our culture is that, farming, ranching, agriculture, Western industry, our women are tough and they are contributors, and they're meaningful contributors, not only to the work that needs to be done, but to the families, and they're good moms. And I think that is probably maybe the WNBA right now, as it stands with all the things it's trying to sort out, is the best advertisement for the Western industry, because people are like, we're just so sick of this stuff. We're so tired of this. As Sophie said in an interview the other day, everybody wants to talk about everything but basketball, and this is a basketball league. I think people are getting tired of the narrative and the arguing. I think people are getting exhausted from fighting. And I like that. I like that you can go places where that's still just not the case, Speaking of, I got one.
Okay.
I had a conversation this week, and maybe this might be a clip that we will use this week for the people that would say, okay, the Hondo says it's for all the rodeo world, but they're only inviting 8 contestants. How is it helping me? I rope, I have horses, I rodeo. How's the Hondo helping me? I had this question posed to me third party, meaning, what do you say when this comes up? And I think this is something that is important to note, Kennedy, is that we are a kind of a right-leaning culture just in general. I know there's variation. I'm not saying we're not really a political industry or culture or whatever, but generally I would say people associate us with the right until it comes to things like that question. Because at the Hondo, we're doing for 1, or in this case 8, what we wish we could do for everybody. We would love to be able to do everything for everybody. But when people say, why doesn't Elon Musk give away all his money for world hunger? But then also we're like, oh, that's not how this works. This is capitalism, or pull yourself up by your bootstraps and everybody contributes. But then we'll also turn around and say, well, if the Hondo's not helping me, then I don't care. And I think the answer is that the Hondo is doing this one thing, and we're trying to do it really well. And if we can do this really well and grow exposure, and you go, well, what about this over here? Our answer would be, go do it. We'll support you. We'll help you. If you want to start something that's different than what we're doing, great. But to say the Hondo is only worth supporting if it supports you personally is actually a communist perspective.
Oh, clipping that, going on socials.
Kind of the
So
definition
if
of
you don't like
communist.
the Hondo, you're a communist. You heard it here.
You guys, the Hondo is doing what it's doing, and it's doing it well, and it's for everybody, and we'll support. If you go, well, what about over here? My answer would be, if you're the person saying Elon Musk should give all his money away to feed hunger, but you're not feeding anyone yourself, there's your answer, is that we all have a place that we can be a part, and we're doing for 8 what we wish we could do for everybody, and it's supporting the industry, it's growing exposure, it's bringing in new sponsors and new fans. And then you take the ball and run with it. If that's what we do, then come tell us what it is that you do, or what you're building, or what you're creating, and we'll support that too. And I love that. That is really who we are. I mean, that perspective is really more true to our culture.
Well, here's the thing. In society today, I think this is more true than ever, especially in the 21st century. Everybody wants a participation ribbon. But this is an industry that doesn't do that. We respect the hierarchy. And so whether that means making the national finals, you've got to be in the top 15. The numbers don't lie. Or the Hondo, you've got to be in the top 8, or at least have a long list of things on your resume. I think that it's a great thing that our industry is upholding this, because there aren't very many people that do anymore. And even in a large, nationally recognized, internationally recognized sports organization like the WNBA, they're fighting stupid fights right now because people still want a participation ribbon in a world where we can't hand those out. And if I am giving my own claim on that, I don't think that's ever going to bleed into this world, because another big thing for us too is we have, at least when it comes to pro rodeos, we have the WPRA and PRCA, but even if they're not the best of friends, sometimes they do work together. And if you go to a rodeo, both of those sanctioning bodies are being presented. You don't go to a WPRA rodeo by itself or a PRCA rodeo by itself. Yeah, it might be PRCA sanctioned, but the barrel racing and breakaway is still being shown and showcased. And so anyway, there's just a place for everyone, I think. And another thing is that everybody's happy with where they're at. I think that, yeah, there are girls fighting to be in the Thomas and Mack, but we're just happy to be here. So anyways,
I would say this. If you would say rodeos should limit their entries, and someone else would say rodeo should never limit its entries. You can have an opinion, but you're also allowed to go start a rodeo. You're allowed to go
True.
get the sponsors. You're allowed to go do the work. You're allowed to go create something yourself and do it any way that you want. That is what it means to be an American, is if you have a strong opinion, go act on it and go put into practice what you're saying. I think that I don't like the way the WNBA is fighting right now. I think it's really bad for the sport. More visibility, I guess. But I don't like the areas where the rodeo world's fighting either. And I think if everybody took that approach, like instead of complaining or whining, go do something. Like, we'll support you. We'll help. We'll promote, everybody is responsible for their own race. And I think that's the one area where I'd like to see the Western industry get a little bit better, instead of, I don't like how you're doing it. There was an old evangelist years and years and years ago. His name was Moody, D.L. Moody. And he had a lady tell him one time, she said, I don't like the way that you preach. And I don't like the way that you do your ministry. And he said, well, tell me about yours. And she says, I don't have one. And he said, well, in that case, I like mine more than yours. And I think that's something that is probably worth noting. The Hondo is here to help, but we're here to do what we do. And if you want to see something else develop somewhere else, my encouragement would be go start it. The Hondo is only just 2 years old. It doesn't take that much time. This idea that nothing can start from nothing, go do it. We want to be a support. Yeah. And I think that's the answer to how are we helping everybody. We're doing for 8 what we wish we could do for everybody.
All ships rise with the tide. We'll support it. So that's Jordan's, if anybody's confused here, that's Jordan's direct message to all those couch jockeys commenting on our posts. All right. That's going to wrap it up for our pop culture crossover this week.
I thought those were Kennedy's words just now, not mine.
Okay, that's it for pop culture crossover, but let's get to our Western headlines of the week. Okay, so for this one, there's some somber news and some good news. So let's start with the somber and end on a high note. Jordan, do you want to take this one?
Yeah. Genuine, like actual thoughts and actual prayers to Cord and Sarah and Tulsa McCoy. That they lost a bull not that long ago that should have been bull of the year in the PBR last year. And then to come back today with the news that riding solo and the long term, he was retired, but the long term business plan where that bull was producing calves that were just bucking like nuts. And so it just seems like things comes in waves sometimes. And so the McCoy family, what they've been through with their bull deal this year is just, it's anybody's had animals, you go through it, and it seems like it's always the best ones that go. And just praying for them. That is such a frustrating part of this industry.
Can I add to, you and I both know from firsthand experience how much we love our animals in this industry, but I think that the McCoy family is one of the biggest examples I've ever witnessed myself of how much we love our animals, down to Cord's sweet little 8-year-old daughter. She has a connection to these things like a puppy, and they love them like family members. So saying that this bull has passed away isn't just a business transaction and a loss of money. No, this is a loss for their hearts. And I don't know, I will be praying for them, because it's like I said, it's not just business when it comes to this industry. These animals are so emotionally attached. So prayers for them.
That's something I've noticed in the agriculture industry, just in general, is if there's going to be an old man who plows around a piece of ground to save a little bird nest, it's going to be a farmer. It's going to be a rancher. It's going to be people in the agriculture industry, the people that have a heart for the animals and caring for things in a way, like tough, blue collar, salt of the earth guys that will like take a little off of their profit margin because there's a family of raccoons living in the corner of their field, like just a general love for the things that we're in charge of stewarding. And so if you take that on a magnitude of 1,000 to the animals that we are responsible for taking care of, and like you said, the way that the McCoys love their animals is just, and they're such good people. Like,
good people.
You don't want to see anybody struggle ever. You don't want to see anybody go through hard times. You don't want to see anybody have difficulties, but God, that's just like, that family is the best our industry has to offer. And so we're praying for them right now.
Truly. On another note, and this heavily involves the McCoys as well, because it is the Hondo and we're going to a new market. So Jordan, hop on that for us.
I love new things. I love innovative things. I think that we have gone through a season for a few decades where new things come and go in rodeo. They come and go. So we've almost, you tell me what you think, but it's almost like we've developed a little bit of a resistance or like a wait and see, or like, let's see how it goes before we get behind it for years and years and years. And so when the Hondo comes in and goes to downtown Phoenix, it's like, will that work? I mean, Arizona's good, but like Chase Field, how's that going to go?
Yeah.
And then New Orleans, it's like, man, you know, there's been other things that happened in that area. It kind of didn't go good. Let's wait and see. And it worked. The thing that I'm the most excited about with Tampa is I feel like the tide is changing, because when we announced Tampa, everybody's like, let's go. It almost feels like we're breaking through a little bit of that, what we've been taught, which is the wait and see. So going to new markets, new fans, new places. I am so excited to get to Tampa. And the thing that I love personally about it is the people we get to meet. Everywhere we go, there's a new culture, a new demographic, a new group of people, a new state. We get to learn the best of what that place has to offer. And it seems like we're pulling the same kind of people from all these different places. It's the God and country. It's the family. It's the, we'll pull over and help you change a tire. It's the show up, love people, big time supporters of people in general. And it seems like the Hondo has this magnet, and it goes over cities and it pulls those people up. So when you go to a Hondo, even though it's in a different place, it's got the same feel. It's got the same look. It's got the same vibe. And so to do that now in Tampa, I'm thrilled.
Well, there's so much power in gathering, but the difference is here, you don't have to fit a certain mold or belief system or background to come and be a part of this. You just get to be a part of the family no matter where you're from, who you are, and what your life looks like. If you show up, and it's at the Raymond James Stadium, which is also fun because we're hitting different markets also of sports fans, which I think is so fun. There's a lot of crossover there. So that's where the Tampa Buccaneers play. And so we've gone from an MLB team to an NFL team to now a college football team. And anyways, there's just like all across the board, we're just going to be hitting new markets. And I think that this is the time to do it. But the Hondo is showing that people in different industries want this. And so there's really no market you can hit that's not going to hit if you bring a rodeo to the table. So I'm really excited to see how it goes.
Can I tell you what I'm selfishly excited about? The people that I am getting to meet, the people that you're getting to meet, like we get to go to a Saints game and we get to go hang out the Diamondbacks game. Selfishly, it is so cool to even be in the same orbit right now with mainstream sports. Not rodeo in and of itself is a unique, different sport. I get that. People are like, rodeo is not a mainstream sport. I can't remember a time where it feels like we're getting more crossover than what the Hondo's getting. And that to me is exciting. The athletes that we get to meet, the people that are operating sort of in that realm that we're getting to cross paths with and learn from, and the advice that we're getting, and then welcoming them into our world too. It's like Juwan Johnson at the Superdome. He's looking around, he's like, man, this feels like game day. We're not delivering a sub-tier product. So we get to experience their world. They're getting to experience ours. And selfishly, and I know the Riggs sisters, both, you guys have always been this way with mainstream sports. Like it's cool that we're even sort of in the same vicinity right now.
Well, here's the thing, like we want to put rodeo on a pedestal next to mainstream sports because our athletes are so worthy of it, animal and human. And now we have two NFL teams that are up close and personal experiencing a rodeo, maybe even for the first time. Same thing with an MLB team. So it's also neat because these other athletes are starting to get to see how worthy our athletes are of the recognition. So it's really neat to see them crossing paths too, like Tyler Shook being in the arena when Shane Hanchy goes in and backs into the box. That was the neatest thing because he had so much respect for Shane, as Shane's been watching his games for a handful of years. So anyway, it's just so much fun. I'm really excited. It gets me fired up. But Tampa is going to be a really neat market.
I was telling somebody the other day, and I think this goes back to the limiting entries thing, kind of, but it also goes to what we're doing in places like Tampa and New Orleans and Phoenix. My brother, I love him to death, and he's in the baseball business. He's a journalist, and him and his friends, it's a co-ed baseball league that they're in, and they like travel around and they play baseball games and they love it. It's like his social thing, and like they keep up with their own stats and stuff, and they don't it's not like they think they're going to Major League Baseball. They just love it. It's a social, it's a physical, it's an outlet, and he adores it. But then you can go to Chase Field and see Shohei Ohtani hit a home run at a Major League Baseball park. And what I would say is both are baseball. Both are valued, both are passionate. The thread between them is exactly the same. But if all that somebody ever experienced from baseball was like my brother's league, unless you're in it, it's hard to understand it at a passionate level. It's hard to have like a real passionate experience unless you're a part of that crowd. The rodeo world internally, like it's a tight knit group. And there are
Totally.
places where it's kind of more similar to like my brother playing baseball. They don't, they're not going to go hit the road and be gone all the time, but that's their culture. That's their group. That's where they belong. But when you have the ability to also not instead of, but also go see Shohei Ohtani hit a ball or Jacob Mizrowski throw a ball 106 miles an hour. When you see what it can be also, I think you draw a more complete picture of the sport. Am I making sense?
Yeah,
And
1,000,000,000%.
and I like that we've got the grassroots. We've got, the thing that has built rodeo, and we've got some bigger stages. We've got the NFR, we've got the Pendletons, the Houstons, we've got those. But by developing both ends of the spectrum, what you're doing is you're enhancing the sport altogether. And so the mainstream crossover that we're seeing is not to replace my hometown of Cleveland, Texas, where I grew up, the hometown rodeo. Like, those people love it, and that's their home, and they contribute, they volunteer. It's no less valuable than what we're doing. It's all part of the same plot. And so I'm really enjoying that we're getting to see the development of a tier of rodeo that maybe we haven't seen before.
I agree. And still elevating the highest level that you could imagine. Like, we're taking the top bar and raising it. So it's the best that we've ever seen in rodeo.
I guess that's the wrap up to that idea. Is it's not an either or, it's a both and we love both. And I think that's an important message, is that we really do love the small town rodeos. We really do love the 80s country and like the nostalgia and remembering like taking our kids to places we went when we were kids. The idea is not to replace that. It's to enhance it with what we're doing. So
yeah. And put it on a stage for new audiences, because there are a lot of audiences that would never discover rodeo had we only had the small rodeos that we love so much. So both are necessary. Okay, that's going to wrap it up for our Western headlines of the week. But let's get to our athlete insiders this week.
I personally have always been a fan of the horses. When I was a little kid, like the thing I was drawn to was Sean McMullen was my hero when I was a little kid, but the horses, I've always been so invested in the horses. And I think that they are some of the most, when you know what you're looking for, they're some of the most unique storylines in our sport is the animals. And I know people talk about it, but it really is true. This week, I saw a video of Haven Medjid team roping. It is really hard to have an elite level head horse. There's an athleticism. There is just an ability to make a great head horse that's hard to come by, and it's unique. The same is true about those kind of calf horses. A really special calf horse is almost born, not made, but then they have to be made also. There's so much skill, so much talent combined. And there's a video this week. We're going to pull it up. There's a video this week of one that's doing both, and that's just mind blowing. The more you know about horses, the more hard to understand how much you're seeing in this. But Haven Medjid entered the team roping, which he's done. He's riding his bay calf horse Smoke, but he's heading on him. And we'll see if we can pull this video up real quick. I feel like we're going to pull it up. There we go. This is a horse that's an elite level. We can't see it. It's out of frame. Hold on just a second. Stick with us. Now watch this horse finish. Makes run and then faces. That is so unbelievably difficult to do. And that's a head horse that looks like a head horse that is also a calf horse. So I thought that was cool. I love that Haven is such a cowboy.
Can I just say, can we name that horse officially the Shohei Ohtani of horses? Like, dominant hitter, pitch, you can go on both sides.
It's the Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson, Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah.
It's both.
You name it, he's got it. Well, okay, speaking of horses, I love that you bring this up. And our Athlete Insider is all about the animal athletes this week. So another horse situation that I think is so neat. So Shane Hanchey, also a Hondo athlete, great horses. I mean, you'll see him at futurities too. He knows how to make a good calf horse. Well, a good example of that is Bugsy, and we'll pull this video up too. Just within the last week, Bugsy's won a ton of money with 3 different guys on his back. So Trevor Hale, Shad Mayfield, Shane Hanchey, you name it, no matter who's on his back, he's winning money. And one thing that I want to point out, this sounds a little silly, but if you really think of the fundamentals of a horse and how their brain probably works, right? Muscle memory is going to kick in. He knows his job. But how different is it from run to run with different guys on your back? Because every guy has a different style. I'm just wondering, how difficult is this for a horse to push through as an athlete and perform just as well with different guys in the saddle?
It depends on the horse and it depends on the guy, because there are times where just a little bit of a different feel, like the way that a guy rides. Sometimes they'll drive a horse a little bit more with their feet. Sometimes just the way they get away from one and the way they finish. Sometimes I think it actually helps a horse. I think you can have a horse that kind of gets in the routine. You've been out there all summer, same thing over and over and over again. All of a sudden, it's a different feel, and that horse can get a little bit sharper just because it's different. And there are times, depending on who it is. I mean, that's not the case with just anybody you put on them, but a guy like Shad is going to sharpen one up. A guy like Trevor Hale is one of the best horsemen in the industry. That guy's shown like working cow horses. That guy's handy. So anytime you put a guy like Trevor on your horse, it's not going to hurt him. Like Shane won 15,000. That horse came from Adam Gray, who again, underappreciated horseman in the industry.
Yeah.
And I think what's interesting with that horse is it hasn't been all roses and rainbows. There's been times where Shane was struggling to get with him. There's been times where he hasn't stayed on the end of it. But man, when that horse is good, when you get the mixture right, and it's Shane and Jason Hanshey, his brother, the Buck Daniels breeding program down in Florida, like they're gonna get it figured out. Like whatever it takes for that horse and him to click. But when he's good, man, he's so good. And the story with that horse is he's really strong. Like he's not easy. He's not something just anybody can get on and ride. I've heard Shane say he's not a kid's horse. So when you got a horse with that much talent, that much ability, that's that strong, that's that athletic, when all that's pointed in the right direction, then you have weeks like you had this week.
Can I also point out too, going back to the horse girl in me, I'm just thinking also of how, I'm talking a lot about the horse's psychology, but thinking about how their mind is working, like how are they thinking through every single run? This makes me think of a video, and I'll have to send it in to plug it here. You've probably seen it, Jordan. It's a Brazilian calf horse trainer. He's not on his horse. He's on the ground probably 30 feet away, but he's telling his horse verbally back into the box and go. And his horse does everything the same, whether he has a person in the saddle or not. And it's cool that a horse can get to that point where he knows his job. This is a joy for him, truly. Like these horses love it. Even if there's no one on their back, these calf horses that are dialed to that level, they're going to do it no matter what. But it's just really cool to see.
That's weird magic. I don't understand how that guy does that. I don't understand how you even begin to train one to do that. I don't get it. That's a realm that I've never operated in. Man, talk about, there's some horsemen down there. Last thing, I saw Riley Webb. I texted Riley. I saw that he went to a rodeo and like, I'm joking when I say Rhode Island, but somewhere, I think back east, it was New York or Maryland or something. And he was roping calves. And obviously it's Riley Webb. He wins the calf rope. And I'm like, what are you doing? And he texted back and he said, trying to get some all around points. Every year when there's this dominant figure in the all around, think of like Ty Murray, Trevor, Stetson Wright. Anytime it seems like there's an injury, you see this explosion of guys who are like, if I could just get some all around points. And all of a sudden you see guys enter in different events. And it's usually a guy who's really dominant in one event. I think Bradley Miller was talking about walking up in the bull riding at some. I think Stetson's coming back from injury. I think we're about to see the end of the ducking off trying to get all around points. But it is every year. If you'll watch, when the number one guy in the all around gets hurt, watch how many guys just scatter and go try to get some all around money in their second event.
It's so true. And even in specific events, there have been so many injuries this year that there have been a lot of different guys chasing a world title that haven't before. So anyway, it's such an interesting storyline to follow. But yeah, like you said, Stetson's back. So,
and that's cool if you go to that rodeo every week. That's like your local rodeo, and that's home for you, and you get to go and you get to see a guy like Riley Webb, who maybe wins the calf rope and wins $900. But like, how rare is it? It's good for rodeo. When it happens, it's good for the sport of rodeo because you get to see guys in places you maybe wouldn't have before. And so, I mean, it's not a bad thing at all. I thought it was cool. And of course, the only people that were not excited about it were probably the other guys entering the calf rope.
Yeah, imagine being the hometown hero and then you see Riley Webb on the base.
Limit the entries. That guy should not be allowed to rope here. And there's
just hang up the hat, man.
They are doing. I mean, if they don't get to enter Cheyenne, why is Riley getting over there?
Golly,
story for a different day.
Hey, well, that's going to be it for this week. I know we had a shorter show than usual, but we have a lot to get to when it comes to new markets. Jordan's down there in the Southeast. They have a lot of business they're doing. And so we'll have more for you next week, of course. The world of rodeo is always buzzing.
Lots to come. Whole bunch of stuff to get caught up on this time next week.